Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Gardener. I'm your host, Jennifer Ebling. It's May 10th. Have you ever intuited the name of a plant? A few years ago, I was in San Diego and I was sitting on a bench outside the hotel and I spied the most amazing blossom. It looked like the head of a bird. My mind latched on to bird of paradise. I looked it up on my phone and sure enough, it was just that. Here's today's brevities. On this day, English author, translator, and clerk to the kitchen of the Archbishop of Canterbury, Leonard Mascall, was buried at Buckinghamshire in 1589. Mascall published a number of books. In 1572, Mascall published A Book of the Art and Manner How to Plant and Graft All Sorts of Trees. Along with cultivating fruit trees, the book was the first to refer to secateurs or pruning shears. The word secateurs is taken from the Latin secare, to cut. On this day, it's the birthday of John Hope, who lived during the Scottish Enlightenment. He was a botanist, a famous professor, and founder of one of the leading botanical gardens in Europe, born on this day in 1725. At the time, Edinburgh was the place to study medicine, and all medical students had to take botany courses. Hope was a captivating instructor. He was one of the first two people to teach the Linnaean system. He was one of the first instructors to use big teaching diagrams or visual aids to teach his lectures. His students traveled from all over the world, Europe, America, India. Hope taught over 1,700 students during his tenure, and they included the likes of James Edward Smith, founder and first president of the Linnaean Society, Charles Drayton, and Benjamin Rush. A field botanist, Hope encouraged his students to go out and investigate the flora of Scotland, and he awarded a medal every year to the student who collected the best herbarium. It's the birthday of Alan Gimel, born today in 1913. In 1950, Gimel was a professor of biology, and he was invited to appear on a brand new show called The Gardener's Question Time. Gimel spoke with a calm Scottish voice. In his obituary, it was said he could persuade followers of the show to plant the most vicious weed. This entire week, May 5th through May 11th, is International Compost Awareness Week, the largest and most comprehensive education initiative for the compost industry. It's celebrated nationwide in Canada, where it started in 1995, as well as other countries every year during the first full week of May. Each year, a theme is chosen. This year's theme is Cool the Climate, Compost. This weekend is the 30th anniversary of the Friends School plant sale in Minneapolis, St. Paul. With more than 2,450 plant varieties, it may be the largest plant sale in the United States. It's a fundraising event sponsored by the Friends School of Minnesota, a small Quaker school in St. Paul. New plants for 2019 include the peony Sweet Marjorie. It has neat and sweet pink cactus-style flowers with streaks of cream and green and deep rose pink. Yellow fluff of stamens in the center, slightly fragrant, early to mid-season bloom. And then the French hollyhock, Bibor Fellow. Bibor Fellow is fuchsia with dark purple veins and a halo surrounding a white center star. It blooms June through September. Bibor Fellow is Hungarian for purple cloud. In Unearthed Words, it's the birthday of the scientist Cecilia Page, who discovered while still in graduate school that stars are made largely of the two lightest chemical elements, hydrogen and helium. She was born in 1900. When Page was 8, she decided to become a scientist. She'd been walking in an orchard when she suddenly recognized a plant that she'd heard her mom describe, the plant that looked like a bumblebee, the bee orchid. Later, she recalled her excitement at seeing the plant for the first time. She said, "For the first time, I knew the leaping of the heart, the sudden enlightenment that were to become my passion. These moments are rare, and they come without warning on days to be marked with a white stone." And it was Cecilia Page who said these wonderful quotes. "An admission of ignorance may well be a step to a new discovery." And then this one, which harkened back to Page's discovery of the bee orchid. "The reward of the young scientist is the emotional thrill of being the first person in the history of the world to see something or understand something." Today's book recommendation is Botanical Sketchbooks by Helen and William Bynum. Botanical Sketchbooks is a compendium of the diverse ways plants have been observed, studied, and immortalized in centuries of art. It's a gorgeous book that features 275 illustrations of flora from around the world, and it dates from the 15th to the 20th century. And the book highlights some rare works and lesser-known botanical artists. Gorgeous. For today's garden chore, it's another Photo Friday in the garden. Today, go to a spot in your garden and take as many shots of one thing from a number of different vantage points. One of the ways we get better at taking pictures of our garden is by experimenting with perspective. The wonderful thing about smartphones is that you can take as many pictures as you want. Challenge yourself with a number, 20 shots, 50, or more of the same thing. Then see how many capture what you wanted exactly right. Finally, here's something sweet to revive the little botanic spark in your heart. While I was researching Leonard Mascall, I came across a bit of his advice regarding the placement of tender trees and shrubs. What I especially loved about this is the notion that even in the 1600s, gardeners were pushing zones a bit. This is from The Guardian, December 9th, 1891. Mascall said, "Commonly, the most part of trees do love the sun at noon, and yet the south wind is very contrary against their nature, specifically the almond tree, the apricot, the mulberry, the fig, the pomegranate." A gardener remarked, "I am sure there is much in this. It is quite certain that all Japanese trees like shade and a north aspect, and the finest, most fruitful old mulberry tree that I have ever seen is at Rochester, growing in a corner where it looks to the north and the east, and is thoroughly protected from the south and the west." Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day. The Daily Gardener is produced weekdays in lovely Maple Grove, Minnesota. You can find complete show notes over at thedailygardener.org, and be sure to share the show with your garden friends. You can find The Daily Gardener on all your favorite social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest, and of course, Facebook. While you're over at Facebook, don't forget to join the Daily Gardener community. Just search for these 3 words, Daily Gardener Community. The group will pop right up, and then request to join. Finally, I want to thank my team at Podfly Productions, where my fabulous editor is Eric Begay. Have a great weekend in the garden, and we'll see you on Monday.